So you might be wondering, what did the preseason have for Gnar? Now, from the looks of things, his best option in the Ferocity tree was nerfed. Fervor of Battle. But, maybe some extra attack damage would be good for him. He's got a lot of attack damage ratios, but, I thought about that, and I figured, why not just go Thunderlords for the direct damage? This Fervor of Battle may do more damage in the long run, but I would probably rather have the Thunderlords, right? Or if it strictly came down to damage, then I would rather have Grasp of the Undying because it also gives health. So if you invest deeply in the Resolve tree, you're going to be giving up damage from Cunning and Ferocity. So this is mainly sustain, health, and utility if you want to look at it like that. And Ferocity is basically straight damage, and Cunning is basically a mix of damage and utility. So Ferocity, Gnar has the 3-hit passive on his W in mini form. The attack speed is nothing to shy away from on Mega Gnar as well. The increased ability damage is somewhat relevant because, let's think, Gnar has his ultimate, which can only be used in Mega Gnar. He's got 2 forms of jump, but they share the same cooldown, so it's really only one other ability. And he's got his Q. So the question is, does sorcery increase the damage from Gnar's W? I think Fury is the better option regardless, because 4% attack speed, you use that against minions, you use that all the time. Running 4% attack speed allows you to go heavier amount of damage in your runes. You can go really heavy damage, or you can go with a mixture of attack speed and damage. He does really well with all that. Whatever your specific combination is, that's up to you. But the end goal here, if I didn't make that clear already by the video title, is that we're going to be going for Warlord's Bloodlust. Now, the theory crafting behind this is that since you gain increasingly more lifesteal based on your missing health against champions, even if you're really, really low in Mega Gnar, which will happen, you'll get maximum value out of Warlords. The main reason why it's good on Gnar is that when you gain the health, it may reduce the amount of lifesteal you're going to get, but it allows you to stay in the fight for longer, which the longer you can stay in the fight, the more damage you're going to do innately. Because I think that the purpose of Runes and Masteries is to be able to shore up the weaknesses of certain champions in order to have a more favorable early game, and by extension of that, you have a better mid to late game. Fresh Blood, it just seems really underwhelming to me for some reason. I know that it's free damage though, so I'll probably go with that. Exposed Weakness is probably about the same. Over the course of a game, you probably get similar amounts of value out of it. And if you want to give health a gold value, then Feast, they're all pretty close in terms of gold value. So whether you want your own attacks to deal more damage or whether you want your teammates to deal more damage, it's completely up to you. Vampirism versus natural talent. So this is an interesting thing that you have here with Warlords. Some people would say, oh, you should take natural talent because you'll deal more damage, which means you'll lifesteal more. But the 2% extra lifesteal and spell vamp would actually give you slightly higher values there. And if you think about it, when you have Vampirism and Warlords hitting at the same time, Vampirism actually reduces the effectiveness of Warlords because Warlords is based on your missing health. So at some point, you actually want to skimp yourself on lifesteal a little bit to get more value out of Warlords. I'm not going to say that stacking lifesteal doesn't work, but you end up putting a lot of gold into lifesteal when you actually don't need that much of it. I guess we'll say the main thing that you need on someone like Gnar, who is, for all intents and purposes in team fights, he's melee, but he'll obviously be ranged as well. So the main consideration for Gnar is attack speed, which you can't really afford to itemize for, and penetration. So Black Cleaver is going to be pretty good. Now, the next mastery is obviously up for debate. I'm obviously going to be biased towards Double-Edged Sword because we talked about how I'm early game focused. Battle Trance is probably similar in some instances, and it could actually be better because if there's a situation where Battle Trance decides to deal 5% increased damage, then that means that you've matched Double-Edged Sword, but you don't take any additional damage. So you don't take the additional 2.5% damage and you deal the same amount of damage. But because Double-Edged Sword outperforms it so consistently, and this is probably a one-off where Battle Trance actually goes even, if not a little bit better than Double-Edged Sword, I'll give the nod to Double-Edged. Most of Gnar's damage is physical damage, so armor penetration percentage is really, really key. Oh, the other thing to note is that when Gnar is in Mega Gnar, the ranged penalty for Warlord's Bloodlust goes away. Now, there's definitely two schools of thought on this next part. As I was saying, sustain and the health bar of Gnar will increase the damage. Unless you're against 5 people. Like, against 5 people, there's no masteries or runes that are going to change anything, right? So if we've got all of this sustain here, then... so if we've got all this sustain from the ferocity tree already, it seems like kind of a waste to me to opt into recovery or anything over here. There's nothing that really stands out to me if I'm going to go Warlord's Bloodlust except Runic Armor. Runic Armor alone is probably the thing that would make me take this tree. Fearless, probably pretty good too. That's only if I were concerned with tankiness. Because Perseverance, of course, this is another form of sustain. This is not tankiness. Fearless would out-tank Perseverance, but if you're talking about the amount of effective HP recovered or prevented, then Perseverance is probably stronger if you get low, because once you proc it, the value of Perseverance is obviously way higher. Whereas all the times that you're not proccing Perseverance, then it goes way down. So the clear option, if you decide to go with this tree, is Fearless or Insight, depending on whether you want to reduce summoner cooldown, which is probably the right way to go. Because you have Teleport and Flash most of the time on Gnar. But since we have a lot of sustain from Ferocity Tree, we're going to go with a little bit of lane control with Savagery. This means that you're going to have a lot more damage against minions. Your laning phase should be a lot better. There will be times when any of these masteries would outperform the other ones, but you have to think about what situation do I want to be strong in. Since Gnar doesn't have mana, Secret Stash is automatically going to be weaker on him. Runic Affinity will have 0 value when you don't have any buffs. And Assassin has 0 value when you're near your teammates. So there's all things to consider, of course. But I'll probably go with Assassin. Merciless for the free damage. I would almost lean towards Bandit or Greenfather's Gift here. Greenfather's Gift is not something that you're going to be able to proc that often, so I'm almost saying that Bandit would be better to go on Gnar. I guess Greenfather's probably has more gold value though. Yeah, Bandit is just probably really bad now that I think about it. Green Father's Gift, and that'll round out Gnar Masteries.